This episode of Krazy Ken's Tech Misadventures is sponsored by Linode. Guys, I bought a NeXTcube, and, now what? Well, I can tell you what. Here's a little bit of what you can expect. Oh, we can set the skill level. Wimpy, normal, excellent. Wow! We can set the skill level to wow! That's an 8 on the boinkometer. Here we go. I got you. Wow. Whoa. We know this as a 1-foot cube, but in the Steve Jobs movie, he said one dimension of the cube was a millimeter less. Tape measure. What? Hey guys, how you all doing? Really, that's just great. You know, I'm doing pretty great today too because there's a freaking NeXTcube in the lair. This thing is pretty valuable. I picked this up at the Vintage Computer Festival Midwest, and while I was carrying it out to my vehicle, I got some pretty awesome looks, we'll just say that. If you want to see that, check out that episode. It was great. So, the NeXTcube, there is a lot of history behind this. I'll break it down a little bit. This is what we're going to be doing. We'll be exploring the hardware. We'll take a look at some of the history. We're going to bust this thing open, take a look at what's on the inside, and then we'll boot it up. I do have the mouse. I do have the keyboard. I do have the megapixel 17-inch display. Whoops. As well. So we will have some fun with this thing. The NeXTcube. So Steve Jobs founded Next after he left Apple. We'll just say left. And this was one of their earlier products, the NeXTcube. There was a version of this computer that visually looked similar that came out a little bit before this one, and it was called the Next Computer. But this version, the NeXTcube, launched September 18th, 1990, and I believe the configuration with the cube and the monitor, keyboard, mouse was $10,000. There was an education discount because this was, I guess, targeted more for like research and universities and stuff like that. But yeah, the regular configuration was $10,000. Steve Jobs really admired the cube design, so he made a magnesium 1-foot cube. Now, the interesting thing is, in the Steve Jobs movie, there was talk that one measurement, one dimension of the cube was a millimeter shorter than the others, so we will measure just to see if that's true or not. But yes, it's a magnesium cube with a 68040 processor inside of it at 25 megahertz. And you can see this little logo on the front. Even the logo resembled a cube. The logo was designed by Paul Rand. The whole visual identity was designed by Paul Rand for Next, and that was a $100,000 gig that Jobs hired him for, and I think it looks great. That nice 20-degree rotation right there. Beautiful. So the whole thing is really beautiful, but my favorite part of the whole Next story is what it became. Mac OS, you know, all the Mac stuff, which eventually evolved into iOS. There's so many things that you see in Mac OS that actually are rooted back in the NeXTstep operating system, the Unix-based OS that ran on this hardware. Here's one thing that kind of confused me, and I read through the product brochure to try to figure it out. I'm not sure what secrets are sealed inside of here. This is the 250 megabyte optical media drive. One of the big features of Next was read-write, erasable, portable optical media at 250 megabytes, and you could throw that in here and it would work. One of the configurations I saw in the brochure is you can also have a floppy drive, but that looks too big to be a floppy drive, so I don't know if this was configured differently, but it's sealed off. Maybe we'll find out more once we crack it open. Let's flip this baby around. It is dense. It's kind of heavy. Also, I don't have much upper body strength. Got the NeXTcube name with the NeXTcube logo, power, and then our board. 3 expansion slots. You could throw more stuff in this thing if you wanted to. But this board represents a lot. The miniaturization, the manufacturing processes that went into making this board so powerful with all these small components so close together was unheard of, virtually unheard of at the time. I've never seen another computer with components this close together on this board. Maybe there was something out there that I've never heard of. I'm willing to debate that. But when you take a look at this board, and keep in mind we're talking 88, I think, is when the manufacturing process for this thing was made. Just take a look at the components and how close together they are. Yes, there is exhaust there. I noticed even on the bottom, I don't really want to put this on its face too much. There's like a lot of ventilation, and there's fans in here. I think there's one fan. What do you say we do this? Bust out our little hex thing here, our little Allen wrench all-in-one device. I don't know what size this is, but yeah, we'll pop this thing in here and crack this baby open, huh? I've never opened one of these before. This is gonna be really fascinating. My freaking tool is stuck. Whoa, dude. I kind of also broke a rule. I probably should go crisscross applesauce, but I didn't. There we go. My freaking like Allen key did not want to move anywhere. Another fun thing is the modern internet as we know it, the World Wide Web, was built on a NeXT system. Tim Berners-Lee at CERN, he built web server software on NeXT. So NeXT helped pioneer a lot of shit, stuff you're using right now to watch me. Okay, I didn't break anything. It's being really stubborn. I mean, this thing was probably sitting somewhere for decades without being used or cleaned. The back is in pretty good condition though. It's really cool. Oh boy. It's starting to fall. It's starting to fall. Okay. All right, we got you, boy. Okay, let's carefully remove that. Okay, yep, there's the fan I was talking about. So I'm guessing... Oh, that was easy. Just comes off like that. Here's the back panel. Piece of cake. Okay, I'm gonna carefully set you... Oh, hang on. I'm trying to read the date. It looks like it says August 21st, but 19 something. It's kind of scrambly. So we do have a hard drive in here. Hiding up there. Power supply, board. So the expansion slots in here were called NeXTbus. That's the technology you could use to shove in other boards and expand the system. And there was also something called a dimension board where you can use the system with color. 32-bit color. Way back in this day, that was freaking amazing. This particular system only does black and white, but still pretty cool. Let's see, can we just carefully pop this out? Doesn't look like it's screwed in. Oh yeah, it's moving. There we go. Okay, I got some ribbon cables here, hang on. They have little handles on them, so you can just take, oh yeah, take the little connectors off. I don't know if I fully trust this bigger one though. Hang on a sec. This one is being a little stubborn. I'm trying to be very careful. There we go. I'm just trying to like jiggle it back and forth. Oh, there we go. There we go. We got her. We got her. Ladies and gentlemen, the motherboard. Here we go. I got you. Wow. Whoa. This thing is spotless. Did they design it in such a way where dust doesn't get on it? Look at that. That's really pristine. Look at that back right there. That looks really clean too. Holy cow. Copyright 1990, NeXT Incorporated, made in USA. Dude, this is the coolest motherboard I've ever looked at. That is wicked. I'm kind of hogging it all to myself though. That's not fair. Okay, let's take a closer look at this. I know we take this stuff for granted nowadays, but keep in mind, this particular board was manufactured in 1990, and look at how small everything is and how everything is just so close together. There lies the Motorola 68040 at 25 megahertz. We have the RAM here. Look at how many freaking slots we have. I didn't know there were that many in here. We could really max this puppy out. Crap. Next Computer Incorporated revision 2.5 looks like there. And we have our clock battery. All the I/O is over there. We'll take a look at that in a bit once I get this thing back together. And this is the next bus slot. It looks a lot like new bus. I'm not sure what the differences really are, but just from a quick glance, shape-wise, it looks pretty much the same. They actually made a really good video about this. Steve Jobs showed it during his presentation in 1988. It's a really cool video that details the process of making this board. I highly recommend checking that out. Here's the little handles I was talking about on the flex cables there. Those are kind of nice. Big power supply. It seems to just go all the way back there. Next part number 983. So I'm guessing this whole giant thing is that optical drive. And then up here, hiding in the void, is our hard drive there. I forgot how much space it is, but we can check the specs when we boot the whole thing up after getting it back together. Let's get this guy back in there. Okay. I should probably be doing this from the other side so I can see where the cables go. Sorry, I'm blocking your view. First one went in, no problem. This next one is being kind of a bitch. Oh, it smells great in here. Let's try that again. There we go. It was just a little stubborn. There we go. I believe that is all the way in. It won't go down any further, so I'm guessing that is it. If we turn it on and it doesn't work, we probably know why. Okay, let's slide it in. And there we are. This was for their printer. It probably serves some other purposes too. SCSI. I don't remember the exact name of this interface. Ethernet. This one I could tell you about. Jobs was huge on having CD quality audio in the system. So DSP, digital signal processor. This thing could produce CD quality sound. So that would be 44,100 samples per second, 16 bits per sample. Again, way back then, producing CD quality sound on a computer digitally, that's really phenomenal. So that's the DSP connection. And down here is for the monitor, which we will look at soon. I do, again, have that megapixel monitor. This powered the monitor, it drove the video signal, and it also drove audio. The keyboard and mouse could also be plugged into the monitor, and it would all just act like a hub and go through here. So really, you only have to plug in the power and plug in the monitor and you're good to go. You can plug other stuff into the monitor and it just all daisy chains and hubs right into here. Kind of like with Apple Display Connector, like what you saw in the G4 Cube. You know, this was kind of the infancy to that, where it was just all done with the one port. Okay, let's get the rear panel back on. Here's the date I was talking about earlier. The ink looks like it got a little scrambled there. Oops. Positive, negative. Got to plug it in the right way. All right. Fan power is back in place. Now, we won't forget to do crisscross applesauce, right? Let's start with this corner. I feel like it's not flush. Yeah, this part's not going down flush. Interesting. There we go. I pushed a little harder, and I think the board went in like a millimeter more, and now it looks flush. So let's crisscross applesauce now. Now it's going in. That's a happy screw. Happy screws are good screws. That's good. You don't want to make them mad, otherwise they start stripping. There we go. All back together. Now let's take a look at the monitor, the other peripherals. Let's hook it all together and boot this sucker up. And here we are with the megapixel display. This thing looks pretty freaking cool. It's got like this thin design. It's not magnesium like the Cube is. It is plastic, but you know, the monitor is already heavy enough with the CRT in here. The stand kind of, I don't know, this kind of reminds me of where the iMacs eventually went with that curved foot design, and it just holds in place. When you tilt it, it'll just hold the position that it's in. Just holds in place just like that. And it even freaking has wheels, dude. These things are freaking wheels. You can just like, moving through. Oh shit, hang on. Oh, my table. I found out what's wrong with my table. One of the pegs that helps it stay elevated must have a bad spring and it's just not cooperating. But yeah, you could, there goes the table again. Yeah, you can move it on little wheels. It's so freaking cool. Stupid table. I'm just relying on friction at this point to hold it in place. Anyway, that is the megapixel display in terms of its like design and some of the features, but there is more. If we take a look at the front, you can see we do have that beautiful Next logo, and I believe that's the microphone. We can experiment with that later. And on the back, megapixel display. And then here's the ports. Again, we can use it like a hub. We just have that one single monitor connector that powers the monitor, drives the video signal, drives the audio, but it also controls the peripherals. So we can plug in keyboard, mouse, headphones, just all conveniently into the monitor. So, on that note, let's do that. Let's plug it all together. All right, the family is all together now. The cube has to be very close to the monitor because, well, we don't have a very long cable, so that's kind of why they're here and I'm just kind of shoved in the corner. But I'm used to that. And don't worry, I didn't forget. I'll save it for later. We will still measure this thing. I want to see if the 1mm thing is true or not. Okay, first, let us connect the magical cable which does video, audio, and pretty much everything. Okay. Okay, that is all good to go. Now we have this mouse, kind of box-shaped. 2 buttons, one for the click, one for menus. You could summon the menus wherever you right-click. Ball, Next Incorporated, Palo Alto, California. Sometimes I twist my tongue on that. That is weird. But other tongue twisters don't fool me, like Unique New York or Irish Wristwatch. Doesn't hurt me. But then Palo Alto, just, I've never said that wrong before, and I just screwed it up now. It's because you're watching me, that's why. Okay, so we have the mouse connected to the keyboard. Here's our lovely keyboard with a power button, volume, brightness. It's all built in, kind of like what we have on Mac keyboards. And I will plug the keyboard into the monitor. Oh, this is a mess. Wow. I am so disorganized right now. I am so sorry. What? Oh my, what the? How the shit? What? Hang on a second. The frickin' mouse cord like got threaded through the frickin' springy cable. So we have everything together. We just need a power cord. Luckily, I just have these C13 515p US standard, whatever the code is, power cords just lying around everywhere. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, you're about to witness the booting of a NeXTcube from 1990 connected to the what's it called? Megapixel display. I forgot for a moment. Okay, power button right on the keyboard. Here we go. So far, so good. It seems a little bit louder than I remember hearing it before, but I'm normally not behind it. Okay, so the monitor is going right now. Yes, it is strobing right now. I will address that as much as I can in a moment. And let's boot it up. We're gonna boot SCSI disk number 1, or is it 0? Anyway, BSD is the abbreviation for that. It's not Berkeley Software Development, it's like boot SCSI disk, whatever the frick it is. And here we go. Oh, just listen to that beaut. Again, this is sounding weirder than before. Whoa. I don't remember making those sounds earlier. But there we are, NeXTstep is all booted up with the dock. Yeah, it's just like the Mac dock that you use all the time on your Macintosh computer. Well, take a look at the dock on this thing. You wonder where it came from? It came from this. There's a lot to explore with the software here. There was a lot of revolutionary stuff that was in this operating system, especially in regards to object-oriented programming. And a lot of the stuff we use on our Mac nowadays came from this system because Apple acquired Next and Steve Jobs when the Mac operating system had to be rewritten into Mac OS X. The core of that stuff was in the NeXTstep operating system. At that particular time it was called OpenStep, but at this time it's called NeXTstep. And there's a lot of cool stuff in here. There's only one thing to do, and that's explore it. Okay, so you know that thing I said before about fixing the refresh rate? I lied. I looked this up and it's a 68 Hertz monitor. I've never seen that before, so that's kind of hard to sync up with a camera. So we're just gonna have to do a little bit of post-production magic. Okay, hopefully that is okay for your eyeballs. It's not always gonna work, but it's gonna work enough. Yeah, but according to the brochure, like I talked about earlier, it is a 68040, 16 to 64 megabytes of main memory, 400 megabyte to 2.8 gigabyte hard drive, and you could have a floppy drive in here, which was extended density, so that's 2.8 megabytes as opposed to the 1.44, it's 2.88. Okay, so let's take a look at what's going on here. Oh, I don't want to log out. Don't want to do that. So, like I was talking about earlier, we have the dock here, just like we have the dock in Mac OS X. This is the workspace manager, which I guess you could say is kind of like the Finder. And even if you go to info panels and look at the about information of certain applications, you may see similar names like Bertrand Surlet. Remember him from Apple? Yep, he was at Next too. I'm going to open up another about panel. Take a look at the mouse cursor. Did you see that quick? It's our old friend, the beach ball, but it's in black and white. That's where the dreaded Mac beach ball came from. Isn't it exciting? And man, you gotta watch those old presentations of Steve Jobs introducing the Next system, especially when things didn't go so well.
It ain't running. Come on, damn it. Okay, good.
Oh yes, those pieces of history are great. So here's the quick demonstration here. So like, let's say I'm in the editing program here, and you'll notice our menus are a separate window. There's no menu bar, that's more of a Macintosh thing, but we can go through our menus here. File, open, save, edit, copy, paste, all that stuff, like you'd get in the menu bar, except it's more in a column format. But the other thing is too, you can just peel these off, so if you want the edit menu always open, there you go. You have the edit menu with you. So I'm gonna do lorem ipsum dolor sit amet, and then conversion, oh, I gotta do it in all caps. Conversion technology. Ah, that is the first time I triggered the caps lock on this keyboard. It's very interesting, there's no caps lock button. In fact, it's called alpha lock, and the way to trigger it is Command Shift. And you'll see there's some other commands in green on the keyboard as well. That is pretty cool. Okay, so now we have that. We can select all, go to our format menu, font panel. Again, this looks pretty familiar, right? That's something we still have in Mac OS today. The double arrows in the scroll bar there, that's something we also have in Mac OS. I'm guessing, I'm not 100% sure. I think other operating systems maybe have done that in the past, but none that I can think of off the top of my head. But anyway, the two arrows there for the scrolling, that made it into Mac OS X. And you probably noticed when I drag this window around, it drags the contents around, so we do have opaque window movement. I mean, systems at this time, especially consumer systems, would have to redraw that stuff and it would take forever, but yeah, we're talking 1988, 1990, just opaque window movement, no problem. So here's another cool thing. Let's say I want to define a word. I can go to the services menu. This is also a thing we have in Mac OS X, and I could say something like define in Webster, just like you can do in the Mac.
We can pick a word like success and go use services again to look it up in Webster's. And here's the word success.
And there we are. We have the whole dictionary built in, Digital Webster. Here's another fun thing I'd like to share with you. So, you know the classic iconic Mac funk sound, like when you press a wrong key, it goes bunk? Well, you probably already know where I'm going with this. That is right there. NeXTstep had that. And here's another thing. I noticed there's like an input gain slider, but I can't get it to go anywhere, so I'm guessing the little grill on the front of this monitor, even though it looks like a microphone, maybe it isn't, or maybe it's just not working. I don't have it configured right. I'm not sure. It looks like it would be a microphone, but it's not letting me adjust the input gain, so I guess I can't record any sound. But the speaker does work, and it sounds like the speaker is built into the monitor. In terms of development, we actually had some demos on here as well, and we can take a look at that stuff. and some of this stuff can be used to show off the capabilities of Next. But before I continue that, while we're on the topic of developing software, do you know how you can develop your own software or do anything else that requires cloud computing? You can use Linode! Hey, Linode provides virtual servers that make it easy and affordable to host your own app, site, service, or whatever the heck you want in the cloud. Whether you're a Linux junkie, not like me, or just want to tinker with code, you can use Linode for either of those. It's a do-it-yourself solution if you like to get into the nitty-gritty of hosting your own professional service. But if you want easy, which pretty much I would do, there's plenty of one-click apps to deploy WordPress, a personal VPN, heck, even Minecraft. We used to play Minecraft on this channel way back when. If you've ever started with those entry-level hosting services that only allowed pre-configured setups, which, by the way, are lame, Linode is your step up from that stuff, guys. It's fast, all-in-one, and easy to configure cloud computing. So whether you're hosting your own website, an app, a coding project, or you just need a place to keep something cool live on the internet, Linode is here for you. Oh, and because you're here, and because we're all best friends, I'm going to give you $20 free on your new account. Just use my code CompClan20, or if you don't like typing in codes, click the link in the description. You'll be glad you did. All right, let's get back to NeXTstep. This benchmark could take a while, so I'm not going to sit here the whole frickin' time because I do have a bit of a life and I would like to continue it. Oh, this is going faster than I remember going last time. Maybe I just cranked it too hard last time. But yeah, there's a lot of math going on here when it comes to rendering the Mandelbrot. Or we can play chess. If you've opened up the chess app on your Mac, this will probably look familiar. There's some of these that I have not even opened ever, but I'm gonna do one I am kind of familiar with. Boink Out, where you bounce this like eyeball thing around. It's a little freaky. I don't know why it has to be an eyeball. Oh, I lost. Oh, now it's like the Amiga ball. Oh, okay. If I do Command I can get the info. Boink Out. Oh, we can set the skill level. Wimpy, normal, excellent. Wow! We can set the skill level to wow! That's an 8 on the Boinkometer. Oh my gosh. Yeah, oh. Oh wow, okay, they weren't kidding. That's like really fast. Start game. Dude, I can't even move the mouse that fast. Give me a break. Holy shit. Oh, screw this. I'm out of here. Okay, let's go to the developer folder, and we have demos. Oh, do we not have the developer tools? Because that would be sad if we didn't. Search the word interface. That doesn't make me very confident. Oh man, that's a bummer. We don't have interface builder on here. Seriously? But yes, interface builder, kind of like what we use on the Mac now. It's part of Xcode now, but that's what was used back then to just connect objects together and have them run and just run at runtime without having to compile stuff. Like that was huge.
Every application on a Next computer is built using Interface Builder.
What just took me 2 or 3 minutes to do would probably take me an hour or so to do manually.
And while the next implementation required only 5 pages of Objective-C code, the Sun implementation, which never truly advanced beyond the prototype stage, required 16 pages of C code.
Object-oriented programming was getting kicked off on this system. It was starting to bloom, and it made its way into Mac OS.
I'm going to build a very trivial little application just to show you how we do this. And we will then make a connection between that slider and the text field by dragging a line. And a panel will pop up and it'll go interrogate that text object and show me all the messages that text object can understand. We'll just say run, and these objects will run themselves. And now when we drag the slider, we'll get values from 0 to 100. What we found a long time ago was the line of code that a developer can write the fastest, the line of code that a developer can maintain the cheapest, and the line of code that never breaks for the user is the line of code the developer never had to write. So,
all right, and backspace, just from the name, I can kind of imagine what this is going to do. Yep, it's going to turn our workspace manager background into something. We have stars going back there. That's pretty cool. I'm kind of getting an old Windows screensaver vibe now. What's up with draw? You could draw some stuff. Doesn't look like the most extensive tool palette. Fax cover sheet. Oh yeah, that was kind of another feature of Next. You could fax right from the system without having to print and then bring the paper over to a fax machine. You can actually fax right from the system. Like, I don't know how I'm gonna be able to really draw anything with a mouse. Oh, rounded corners, hell yeah. Steve Jobs and Bill Atkinson, look at this stuff. That's probably some square root math going on right there. That doesn't just happen. That's some math going on. Ah, text items. Something that Bill Atkinson did not want in MacPaint because he didn't want it to feel like a glorified word processor. If I understand the story correctly, I think that's how that went. But yeah, keyboard shortcuts I use nowadays in Mac OS. Command A to select all, Command T to set the font. Like, all that stuff is in here. So it's all so similar. And I can do Command P to print. I don't have a printer hooked up, but again, I can fax it right from there. Command H to hide, if I want to hide an application. You know, I got my dock, I can drag it around. A lot of stuff that we use today. Oh, there's some admin tools in here. Hello. I've never gone inside this folder. Next admin. Okay, so that's next admin, next apps. That's the built-in stuff grab for screenshots. That's another thing we have in Mac OS. It just got replaced, though, with an app simply called Screenshot. Mail Preferences Preview. That's another one we have in Mac OS. And the cool thing is I can just keep opening these applications and they can just stay down here in this bottom part of the dock, and I can just Command H and hide them because the multitasking is all good. Like, I can keep multitasking with all these different things going on, and nothing crashes, nothing slows down. I can open up the librarian, text edit, the terminal, the mail application. It's a good multitasking, network-ready system built on top of Unix. It just works. And remember, this particular hardware is from 1990. And this is NeXTstep, I believe, version 3X. It's one of the 3.x releases. And the mailbox always came with this, hey look, I got a message from Steve Jobs, I'm famous now. Yes, NeXTstep. You got that welcome email from Steve Jobs, which is great. The object is the advantage. There you go. There's that keyword again, objects. The whole system was about objects and object-oriented programming. Oh yeah, sometimes I forget about that. I was like, where's the scroll bar? It's on the left side. That was always bizarre, I thought. It's on the left, and there's a signature. Wow, I feel special. I got an email from Steve. All right, so I know you want me to measure the cube. Heck, I want to measure it too because I've never done that before. So that's a quick look at NeXTstep itself. I highly encourage you to take a look at the other video I did that actually shows the system in color because I virtualized it. So that's another good demo. Watching the manufacturing video and the Steve Jobs presentations of the cube, like, watch that stuff. It's so freaking cool. To shut this thing down, we just quit. We quit the workspace manager, and that brings us to an option that lets us log out. Or, well, it's not quit. I guess they actually do. I was in a different program. I'm sorry. The quit button turns into log out when you're in the workspace manager, and you could just log out from here if you hit return, or you say power off, and it will shut down the system. Now for the moment I have all been waiting for. What are the true dimensions of the NeXTcube? So to reiterate, Steve Jobs was really fond of the cube design and he wanted this thing to be perfect, beautiful, magnesium, 90-degree corners and shit. Just a perfect cube. That's what he wanted. But an interesting thing came up. We know this as a 1-foot cube, but in the Steve Jobs movie, he said it was either a millimeter shorter or a millimeter more narrow. One dimension of the cube was a millimeter less. And the reason was that if you make it slightly imperfect, it will be perceived as perfect or something like that. It's been a long time. But ever since I saw the movie, I've been curious, is it true? And now we actually have a NeXTcube in the layer here and we can test it for ourselves. Is one part of it a millimeter less than all the other dimensions? Well, let's find out with our handy dandy tape measure. Okay, so we're gonna measure this side here. Okay. Yep, it looks like it is about a 0.5 millimeter shorter from the 12-inch tick mark. But you know, that could just be an anomaly or the way I'm holding it, so I wanna measure it the other way too. Oh yeah, no, that's about... What? Well, I'll be darned. Hang on a sec. Let me look at that one more time. Oh yeah, it's about a 0.5 millimeter short of the 12-inch tick mark with the height, but when I measure the depth, hang on a sec. Son of a bitch. That is crazy. It is 1 millimeter shorter than it is deeper. Because this came out to be, again, this being on the end, something could make it a little bit different. It ended up being not a perfect 12 inches here, but it could be just the way I'm using the tool or the tool itself, but it looks like it's a 0.5 millimeter short of 12, and this one is 1 millimeter over. So yeah, it's about 1 millimeter to it's about 1 millimeter to 1.5 millimeters different. Let's look at the width. Same deal. Yeah, it's about 1 millimeter or 1.5 millimeters shorter, give or take, than it is deeper or wider. That is insane. That's crazy. Son of a bitch. That is really freaking cool. Anyone else that has a NeXTcube, check it. Another joke in the movie was that Steve Jobs would measure it with a ruler and then measure that ruler with another ruler. So this isn't the most precise test. I guess the best way to do it would to use like a caliper, but I looked up calipers of that size and they're expensive. But I'm also not a tool expert, so I want to see if you guys, if any of you have a NeXTcube, measure it. I'm curious to see if you have the same results. That is crazy. It is like 1 millimeter to 1.5 millimeters shorter. That is so fun. Holy cow. The NeXTcube, guys, even decades later, still a really, really fascinating machine. If you have any other suggestions for what I could use it for in a future episode, drop a line down below. This was a lot of fun. Thanks for sticking with me, catch the crazy, and pass it on.